Hi, I'm Philia Steyn and I'm the safari expert, and in this video I'm going to tell you more about Twee Rivieren Rest Camp in the Kgalagadi Transfrontier Park and what animals you can expect to see around it. Twee Rivieren is located approximately 250 kilometers north of Upington at the southern tip of the Kgalagadi Transfrontier Park. Not only is it the largest rest camp in the park, but it also acts as a border post for people wishing to cross from the South African side to the more remote Botswana side. Twee Rivieren is the only camp with proper cell phone signal, and it also has the largest shop, where you can buy everything from cold drinks and basic groceries to curios and clothing. It also sells firewood and has a mini ATM. Other camp facilities include a swimming pool, a restaurant, and a filling station with petrol and diesel pumps, as well as a compressor. Because the park's roads are sandy and very corrugated in parts, I recommend that you deflate your tires to 1.5 bar before you enter to ensure smoother game drives. Okay, let's talk about the accommodation options. The chalets all look very similar and sleep between 3 and 6 people. They're super comfortable and are all fitted with air conditioners, small kitchenettes, and ensuite bathrooms. The campsite, however, leaves much to be desired. It's located right next to the main entrance road, and proper shade trees are in short supply. They have built some wooden structures to provide additional shade, but if you ask me, these are still a bit too small. The majority of the stands have power, and if you book one of these, remember to bring your blue adapter to plug into the power box. The campsite's ablution facilities are large and well maintained, and includes a small laundry room and a place to hang up your wet clothes, as well as a scullery. The campsite does not have an urn, so bring your own kettle for boiling water in the mornings. Speaking of which, don't drink the tap water under any circumstances. It can make you extremely ill. In fact, I wouldn't even brush my teeth with it. Rather buy bottled water from the shop. The one spot in Twee Rivieren that very few people know about is the camp hide. There's a small footpath beyond chalet number 1 that leads you across the red sand and up the dune all the way to the hide's entrance, from where you have a stunning view over the whole camp. I love the fact that it's located so far away from the campsite and the chalets, and it's actually got a stunning view over a waterhole, the perfect place to escape to in the middle of the day. And when you walk back to your room or tent, look out for the resident white-browed sparrow weavers, yellow mongooses, and ground squirrels that have made their nests and burrows between the chalets. Right, let's talk about game viewing. Despite the fact that it's located at the edge of the park, Twee Rivieren is actually one of the best places for game viewing in the whole park. But before I tell you which waterholes to visit and what else to look out for, consider ordering Kgalagadi Self-Drive, Routes, Roads and Ratings. By far the best book about the park and the perfect source of information when you plan your game drives. Not only does it talk about each and every waterhole in the Kgalagadi, but also the stretches of roads between the waterholes, giving you the best chance of spotting the specific animals that you're looking for. I'll add a link in the description below if you'd like to order it online. Before you leave camp in the morning, you first have to stop at the entrance gate to collect your game drive permit, which you hand back after your drive. You have to tell the person on duty where exactly you plan to drive, so that in the case of a breakdown, they know where to come and look for you. Because there's no cell phone signal deeper into the park, and breakdowns do happen from time to time, I always travel with a satellite phone that I rent from Sat4Rent. I'll add a link to their website in the description below. And if you do end up with car trouble, simply visit the Twee Rivieren workshop, where one of the camp mechanics will do everything they can to help fix the problem. If you ask me, the reason Twee Rivieren is so good for game viewing is the fact that you have the option of either driving along the southern Nossob, where the riverbed is slightly wider and where there are more camelthorn trees, or along the southern Auob, where the trees are sparse and the riverbed very narrow, giving you a great variety of landscapes to drive through. By the way, if you decide to drive along the Auob riverbed first thing in the morning, don't waste time driving super slowly on the short dune road that links the two riverbeds, because there's usually not much to see in the dunes. Rather stick to the speed limit of 50 km per hour, concentrating not to hit any small creatures of course, and get to the Auob riverbed itself, where game viewing will be much better. And if you're happy to stay out all morning, you could drive up one of the two riverbeds, cross the dunes on the lower dune road, and then head back to camp along the other. Just take note that the lower dune road gets extremely corrugated in places. To break the long drive, there are picnic sites where you can stretch your legs and use the toilet located along each riverbed. Melkvlei along the Nossob riverbed and Agterloonie along the Auob riverbed. Agterloonie actually has a small museum, and they've rebuilt some of the old ruins constructed here by early settlers. Taking a walk around the picnic site to admire the conditions these brave souls used to live under is definitely recommended. When you first drive out of camp, look out for a camelthorn tree with a gigantic sociable weaver nest in it right next to the road, approximately 4 kilometers from camp. I love stopping here to watch the frantic little birds maintain the nest and to look for Cape cobras that sometimes raid it. Also keep an eye out for the diminutive pygmy falcons who share the nest with the weavers and are often found sitting close by. There's another, even more impressive sociable weaver nest along the Nossob riverbed 18 kilometers from camp, and it's safe to say that this is the most photographed tree in the whole Kgalagadi. If you drive slow enough and check the camelthorn trees very carefully, you might also see spotted and various eagle owls, African wildcats, or even a leopard if you're lucky. Speaking of which, if you're dying to see leopards in the park, check out my video on how to find leopards in the Kgalagadi after this one. The reason Twee Rivieren is one of the best places in the whole park to see leopards is because there are a lot of calcrete ridges in both the southern Nossob and southern Auob riverbeds. These are basically rocky ridges with lots of crevices in it, where leopards can rest, hide their cubs, or look for prey. Carefully scan the calcrete ridges just outside camp, north of Rooipoorts and south of Agterloonie for signs of spots. If it's lions you're looking for, stick to the Nossob riverbed and drive all the way to Melkvlei picnic site and back. Lions are regularly seen between Rooipoorts and KK waterholes, and it's even worth driving the first few kilometers of the lower dune road to Tierkop waterhole and back if you want to give yourself a chance of seeing lions on the classic Kalahari red sand dunes. And don't forget to check the deep shade under the large camelthorn trees, because that's where lions will gravitate towards as it gets hotter. Cheetahs are also frequently seen around Twee Rivieren along both riverbeds. They love getting some elevation by lying on sand dunes, walking along the ridges, or even climbing into camelthorn trees from time to time. But game viewing in the Kgalagadi is about so much more than just looking for big cats. Around Twee Rivieren you can spot a variety of other smaller creatures, including the ever-entertaining ground squirrels, honey badgers, black-backed jackals, and meerkats, which I've seen mostly along the southern Auob riverbed. Red hartebeest, blue wildebeest, springbok, and of course gemsbok, or oryx as they're also known, are also plentiful around Twee Rivieren. Birdwatchers stand a chance of seeing raptors like lanner falcons and black-chested snake eagles, as well as pale-chanting and gabbard goshawks, to name but a few. Oh, and don't forget about one of my favorite raptors, the secretary bird, that loves hunting along the riverbeds. Other large birds include the world's heaviest flying bird, the Kori bustard, and the world's largest bird, the ostrich. If you're lucky, you'll find a family with small chicks, and if you love taking photographs, make sure you spend some time with dust-bathing ostriches along the southern Nossob late in the afternoon. The backlight makes for some very dramatic images. And since we're speaking about photography, because of this very open terrain here in the Kgalagadi, a lot of the animals that you see are often quite far away. So if you only have a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, you might feel a little bit short, in which case you could consider renting something like a 150 to 600 millimeter lens if you like that versatility of the zoom, or even a 600mm prime lens for those pin-sharp photographs with a blurred background. Now that's what I always do when I come to the Kgalagadi. I either rent something like this 150 to 600mm Tamron G2 lens or a 600mm prime, and I rent it from Outdoor Photo in Pretoria. And I'll add a link in the description if you want to check out their rental department. Now just look at some of the photographs I've been able to take with a 600mm lens. And since we're speaking about photography,
How was that, Owen?
if you want to improve your wildlife photography skills, check out my online course called Wildlife Photography for Beginners and Amateurs, in which I cover the 6 most important aspects of wildlife photography, namely equipment, settings, light, composition, creativity, and animal behavior. If you're interested, check out the link in the description below. My 2 favorite waterholes to stake out in the dry season near Twee Rivieren are Sameflowing and KK. Sameflowing is located 5 kilometers outside camp, right next to the confluence of the Auob and Nossob riverbeds. What I like about it so much is the fact that you can either park above it in a small raised parking area, which provides you with a great view of the waterhole and the surrounding area, or you can drive to the opposite side where you can park closer to water level, making it great for photography. It's also less than 10 minutes from camp, which means you can get here very early in the morning and leave very late in the afternoon, when big cats and other rare creatures like brown hyenas are most likely to come and drink. The reason I like KK waterhole so much is because it's close enough to not only photograph the mammals that come down to drink, but also the birds like sandgrouse, and it's nicely lit both in the mornings and afternoons. It's also one of the best places to see lions in the entire park. So to summarize, yes, Twee Rivieren is the largest, busiest camp in the Kgalagadi, which creates a bit more traffic at sightings, and you can hear the nearby donkeys calling from the neighboring farms every now and again. But if you're looking for a comfortable base from which to explore the park and where you have an excellent chance of having amazing sightings, there's no better camp than this one. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up below, go and subscribe to the channel, and remember to check out the description below for any important links and information, including how you can order Kgalagadi self-drive routes, roads and ratings online, and the link to Outdoor Photo where you can rent a longer lens. And if you haven't checked it out already, also check out my video on my top 10 tips for visiting the Kgalagadi.